Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast. It's called Stop the Internet Podcast. My name is Kelee. I am here with another solo episode today. All of my co-hosts are traveling the world. They're unavailable, and I was in the mood to do a solo episode anyway, so I figured this is the perfect week. So here I am. Today, I'm going to be talking about friendships because I feel like it's a topic that we haven't talked about on the podcast in a while, and I was inspired to talk about it. I don't know why, it just hit me. I was reading some of the stories and situations that we had already had pulled in the past and had saved, and I was like, this is just feeling right. I'm in the mood to talk about this. And I saw another post recently about how it's just harder making friends when you're an adult, and I had some thoughts about that, so I wanted to talk about it. So here we are. I don't really have an intro, so I'm just gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna jump right into friendships. I recently saw this post and I had thoughts about this, so we're going to start with this. Why is it so hard to make friends in our 20s? I, female 22, have a couple of friends from high school that I see maybe once a year. Also a best friend I met years ago playing video games. We saw each other in person once, but we talk every day. Other than that, I can't really seem to make any long-lasting friendships. I consider myself a person that's easy to talk to. I don't think anything is TMI, will go along with any joke. I don't discriminate against any group of people. I don't believe in things being cringy because cringe kills joy. Wait, this person seems great. I just cannot seem to make genuine friends anymore, specifically with women. I love women and I would love to have more girlfriends other than my best friends from high school, but I just feel like I never fit in. Like I end up being cast aside. I moved to a different country for my studies and genuinely cannot seem to connect with anyone. It's been 3 years. I rarely come out of my house if it's not needed because I don't have anything to do. I asked around and apparently many people my age feel this way. Like we just stopped making new friends at some point. Does anyone else feel this way? I agree that so many people feel this way. And I was thinking about this and I'm like, what would be the reason that it is so hard to make friendships as an adult? And I was thinking, if you actually had to define in the simplest way, why is it so hard to make and maintain genuine friendships as an adult? I think that it is because it takes so much time to become friends with people. And as adults, we just don't have that time. So if you think back to school, obviously you're going to make friends in school because you're with these people for 8 hours a day and sometimes before and after school and on the weekends and activities. And you just have so much time to get to know each other and form these connections because it does take a long time to form connections. I mean, it's similar to dating. Think about even when you have a job. And I feel like everyone I know has agreed with this. Work friends are like no other. When you are friends with the people that you work with, you become so close so quickly with those people and you're spilling like every single detail about your life and this intimate stuff that maybe you don't even talk to your lifelong friends or family about these things, but you're talking about it at work, once again, because you have time with these people and it almost feels like time stands still, especially if you have a job that you're not busy 24/7. For example, I used to work in a clothing store over a couple summers and I became so close with the people that I worked with there because yes, there would be a rush and you have to clean the store and help people, but then there's downtime where you're just like folding shirts and hanging up dresses and you're just talking. And that feels like quality time and the conversation just keeps flowing and gets deeper because especially during a break at work, there's really nothing else to do other than talk or do your busy tasks in silence. And it's just so easy to get to know someone when you have seemingly endless time. And if you're working a full-time job with people, 40 hours a week kind of is endless time compared to any other activity that you're going to do. And then when you are out of school or if you don't have a job where you can make friends like that, you might find yourself in a space where you're like, how do I make friends? I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. I'm not going to make friends in a classroom or at a workplace. So how do I make friends? You need to find time basically to not only meet people, but then to spend quality time with them constantly after you meet them. And that feels so hard and so difficult. But I was also thinking about it and I do think that it's possible. It just takes a lot more effort because now you're not being scheduled on an 8-hour shift together. You need to schedule 8 hours with this person to help you get to know them and to form a connection that's going to be as close or as deep and fulfilling as a coworker or a classmate, where that 8 hours of time together is already scheduled by an outside force. And I was actually thinking about my own friendships and how it relates to this. And when I'm looking at my closest friends, all of them, except maybe one or two, less than 5, are people that I have known since high school. And it's this history and this over the years and years and years you've known each other, spending quality time together and getting to know each other. And I might have a couple friends that I have really, really deep connections with that I have met after college and not through work, which is just interesting to think about. And I feel like it just goes to show that almost everyone that I've talked to or heard from kind of feels the same way, that it's near impossible to make these connections if they didn't stem from childhood, high school, college, or work. I think another piece that goes into this is as we get older, our schedules tend to get busier and we don't have as much time to just go and hang out with friends for 8 hours. Maybe you're in a relationship and now you have to split your time between your people and your partner's people, or maybe you decided to have kids, or maybe you have a big family, or you have a job, or you have multiple jobs, and you need to make time for all of this stuff. And therefore, the time that you have to devote to making new friends and building connections through quality time is just dwindling, and you just don't have time to do it. And on top of that, I think that as adults, especially people in their 20s who are experiencing freedom for the first time and just like coming into their own and understanding themselves, tend to get into the going out, nightlife. And obviously, this is not everyone. Obviously, I'm sure there's tons of people that are going to listen to this and not relate, but at least in my circles and people around me, something that I've noticed is that nightlife and drinking, not for everyone. Obviously, not everyone that I'm friends with drinks, and they don't drink every weekend and they don't drink in every social situation, but so many social situations as adults in your 20s and 30s involve nightlife and alcohol. And I think that that makes it harder to form genuine connections because, one, the time is fleeting. If you're going out, maybe you're going out from like 7 to midnight, that's like 5 hours, but then there's alcohol involved. And I just think that when there's alcohol involved, it's just harder to get to know someone. Like who you are while you're drinking, yes, it is you, but it's this weird diluted version of you. And if you only knew someone when they were drunk, do you think you would say you actually knew them? I don't know. For me personally, I just think that I have never formed the truest, deepest, most long-lasting connections that I have during nights out. Actually, I should clarify. I have never formed the truest, most deepest connections I have with people when they are people that I only see in drinking and nightlife situations. So obviously my closest friends and I have had tons of nights where we hang out at night and there's alcohol involved. But in addition to those nights, there are tons of times that we have hung out where alcohol is not involved. And I think that it is the times where alcohol is not involved that the foundation of the friendship really grows and gets stronger. And then it's those nights where alcohol is involved that are more lighthearted. And obviously there's like a million different sides of friendship. And I think that if the only side that you have with someone is going out and drinking, maybe that's not the deepest connection you've ever had, or it's not going to be the deepest connection you ever had, unless you, of course, have this foundation that you've built somewhere else. That is my experience. Obviously, I've heard stories where people have friends where the only thing that they do together is go out, and they are like the club duo, and they're like hitting the club every weekend. And those people are probably so close and the best of friends. So I'm not trying to take away from that, but what I'm really thinking is in my own experience, I have met people, friends of friends, where the only time I see them is in party, drinking, alcohol situations, and I don't see them anymore. Because at least for me, that doesn't lead to deep, lasting connections. But also, all of this plays a role into why it is so hard to form genuine connections still, because think about what people in their 20s typically want to do on Fridays and Saturday nights when they have downtime and free time to go do things that are fun. A lot of people want to go out to dinner and have a cocktail, or they want to go out to a bar, especially at least in my circles, people in their 20s, it's like, let's go out, let's party, let's have fun. And I had so much fun doing that. And I still still do go out from time to time and I do still have fun doing that. So I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing, but I think that if you are trying to make friends, it's just going to be a little bit harder possibly to convince people to have quality time with you that doesn't involve drinking on a Friday or Saturday night, especially if you live in like a city where nightlife is big. I mean, a lot of my friends are still in Philly area and we love going out. Like we love a new restaurant, a new bar, like a dance bar. It's so fun. But then at the same time, it's like, are these hangouts leading to lifelong friendships if we're not also incorporating different kinds of hangouts at the same time? I feel like I'm talking in circles a little bit, so I'm going to kind of move on from that. The last thing I'll say about the alcohol point is I think that if you are genuinely trying to make friends and you find yourself in situations with people that you enjoy and that you like and that you want to form deeper connections with, try to initiate plans with them that do not involve alcohol. And I've actually said this to my friends before. Like there have been times where my friend group is hanging out and we're like, guys, we haven't hung out without alcohol in so long. Like we should definitely do something else. Or when we are hanging out without alcohol, we're like, wait, guys, this is kind of crazy. This is the first time we've hung out without drinking in so long. And it's so nice. Like we need to do this more. We need to make an effort to do this more. And okay, I'm continuing to talk about alcohol after I just said I'm going to move on. One more thing about the alcohol thing. I feel like, once again, I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing when people hang out at night. And I actually think it is a good way to meet people because let's say you're having like a couple friends over for a game night, which is going to be really great, high quality time. Most of the time, your friends probably are not asking you, hey, can I invite that group over? Can I invite that person? Or could we tell those people to meet us? Whereas when you're going out to a public place, a lot of my friends will be like, oh, this other friend of mine reached out. I told her we're going out to this bar. I told them to come and meet up with us later. And it's like, oh, great. Like the more the merrier when you're in a public place and you don't have to provide for everyone because everyone can go to the bar and get their own drink. And if, those people aren't having as much fun, they can be like, hey guys, we were here for a while. We're going to head out, wishing you guys the best, like whatever. But if you were in a home where you're hanging out with a smaller group, that's much less likely to happen. So I think that's another reason why people enjoy hanging out in these public places and going out and getting a drink, because it's more casual and it's easier to just tell like everyone you've ever met to come out and have a drink with you. And there is so much benefit in that because obviously that's how you meet new people and that's how you meet like friends of friends of friends without having to commit to having them all over at your house at the same time and hosting them. Okay, I think I've made my point about the alcohol and how it affects making friendships. So I'm gonna try to move on from it. Now, I guess the question is, what do you do if you don't want to just ask someone to go get a drink on a Friday night? How do you craft and create this experience where you are going to have high quality conversations and create this deeper bond? I'll go off of what I just mentioned. I think a game night is a great way to do that. I think a game night is a really good bridge between going out to a public space and having like a smaller group where there's no alcohol involved, because at a game night, you can kind of give people the option to bring a drink if they want it, or you could provide one bottle of wine and be like, let's split it between a couple people and we'll keep it chill. That way conversations stay a little more meaningful, and not that you can't have meaningful conversations over a couple bottles of wine, but I think I'm going to trust you guys that you understand where I'm coming from this one. Okay, you get what I mean about the like, if we're just getting trashed and wasted together all the time, it's harder to form connections. Okay, so anyway, game night. I think that's a great way to get to know people better. And especially like if you are changing up the type of games or playing goofy games where people have to, I don't know, do an activity or team up. And I just love games. I feel like they're, at least in my life, how I experience games was you play tons of games when you're a kid, and then you grow up and you reach this like late teens, early 20s where my fun is not necessarily found in playing a board game on a Friday. I'm like, I want to go out and dance and have fun and go to a bar or something and meet people. And then after you kind of live that life, and when I say you, I really mean me and the people that I'm surrounded with, you kind of move on from that. And maybe you want to do that sometimes rather than every Friday and Saturday. And then you kind of find your way back to games and game nights. And you're like, wait, playing games, especially with your closest friends, is so much fun. And I would just totally recommend it for anyone. And I think it's a great way to form connections. And there's so many types of games now where the whole point of the game is to build connections. Specifically, we're not really strangers. I know that's like a little bit deep because there's questions that are like, you know, like you might pull out a card that's like, what was the best gift you've received for your birthday this year? And it's like, oh, cool. Okay. And then you might pull it out and it's like, what's a trauma you haven't healed from? I'm not quoting it verbatim, but I do feel like We're Not Really Strangers can be quite deep. But you know what? Play it on level 1 with people. I feel like that's a fun get to know you kind of thing. In addition to game nights, I think another way to get to know someone, so maybe you live in a city and you met someone through a friend of a friend, or you found someone on Instagram or something, or you met at a coffee shop, like any random new connection that you have. If you want to try to become better friends with that person, I think that one, asking them if they want to get coffee before or after work or on a weekend morning, that's a really great way to get to know someone because it's very low commitment. And especially if it's on a weekend, it could lead to other things. So you could go to a coffee shop and if the vibes aren't vibing, you can kind of move on and be like, well, it was great. Have a great day. You're out. But on the other side, if the conversation is going great and you're like, oh my God, we're having so much fun, I'm vibing with my new friend, you can stay and spend the day or do it again with them. And that repetition and seeing people constantly and spending this time with them is what's going to build a longer lasting friendship. I wrote down some other ideas. One thing that my friends and I got into in the past few years that doesn't involve alcohol is tennis. And I loved it because tennis is a very, relatively inexpensive hobby to have if you can provide yourself with the basic equipment. So if you can attain a tennis racket and tennis balls from time to time, new tennis balls because they go flat. Tennis is a very inexpensive hobby because there's so many public tennis courts. So just going and playing tennis for a few hours is so much fun. And obviously it doesn't have to be tennis. It can be anything. Basketball, softball is a little more intense because you need more people, but basketball, you can go and dribble and shoot hoops with people for a couple hours and it's basically free other than a basketball. So things like that are always fun. If you don't want to go and organize these things for yourself, you can join a sports league and ask your new connections or people that you want to form better connections with if they want to join it with you. A sports league where you have to be at a certain park every like Monday, Wednesday from 7 to 9 and you guys are on a sports team together. That is a great way to spend quality time with people and get to know them better. And then you can also ask people if they want to get dinner before or after. More quality time for deeper conversation. You can also take a class. So obviously everyone makes friends when they're in school. So you can almost it's going to be a metaphor. Like the class you're taking as an adult is kind of like a loose metaphor for school when you're a kid. You can take a pottery class, a painting class. I wrote down other ideas. What did I say? Oh, an acting class. I want to take an acting class this year just for funsies. I'm kind of terrified to do it, but I think that's why I want to do it. I want to push myself out of my comfort zone and I want to try acting in an intro level acting class. I feel like that would be such a good version of rejection therapy, I guess, and just a good exercise in not caring what people think, because the thought of genuinely trying to act in front of someone and not being able to laugh right after and be like, haha, that was a joke is terrifying. And I think I need that. I think my ego needs that right now. Don't our egos always need some humbling? I feel like they do. I wrote down gym, either joining a gym or a class at a gym, cycling class. I feel like I'm not into cycling, honestly, but Rebecca, my co-host, you guys, everyone knows her. She loves SoulCycle. I just have always in my whole life just hated stationary bikes. I just don't think stationary bikes are enjoyable whatsoever. I would rather be on a treadmill, or I don't really love an elliptical either. A rowing machine could be cool. So if you're into SoulCycle, do that. Or maybe if you're not into SoulCycle, try to find a different fitness class that you could ask people if they want to take with you. Or if you met someone at the gym, you don't even have to take a class with them. You could ask someone, would you be interested in doing a workout together? You can go into the yoga studio. At least in gyms that I have joined in the past, there would be a yoga studio or like a dance studio where they had their scheduled classes in there, but if it wasn't being used, anyone could go in there and like jump rope or like watch a workout video. So you can ask your friend, do you want to go into the dance studio and just do this YouTube workout together one day? The commitment is so low. And I think that that's something else that is good to keep in mind when you're making friends, is asking people to engage in low commitment things. Because if people are nervous, or I just feel like so many people are socially awkward, honestly, and they're like, I barely know this person, and it could be really, really fun to get coffee with them or do a soul cycle class with them, or it could be really awkward because I don't know what we're going to talk about. Therefore, I think that to avoid feeling that way and making other people feel that way, which may make them say no to the plans, is you can ask them to do these low stakes things that are low commitment, and there's an easy out because as soon as that YouTube video workout is done, you're outie if you want to be. Another thing that I was thinking about recently that I've actually said to some of my friends, although it hasn't come to fruition yet, because I feel like we always bring this up like right before summer, and summer is everyone's busiest time and people are just all over the place. Like every weekend is booked. People want to be outside doing things. So I'm going to bring this back up this year actually, is a movie club or a book club. But I also think that not everyone wants to commit to reading the same book, but book club is a great idea if you can get people into it. I feel like anyone that I know that's in a book club, or any video that I've seen about a book club, is like, we had a book club meeting and it's been 4 hours and the book has not been mentioned one time. But isn't that great? Doesn't that mean that they were having 4 hours of deeper conversation that's going to help them maintain a deeper friendship? So there you go. Book club, just an excuse to get together basically. Or movie club. I had this other idea where you don't have to commit to reading a book, but we can all watch a movie either together or maybe separate and just talk about it. But I think it's even better if you can meet up and watch a movie together and then talk about it after. So much less commitment because you're just together for a few hours. And also another example, my friends and I have met up to watch a movie and 7 hours went by and we're like, okay, we're not going to watch this movie tonight, but that's okay because we're having 7 hours of conversation. So maybe you won't even end up watching the movie, and that's fine too. Okay. Lastly on my list of things that you can do to make friends as an adult, this one might be a little bit weird and it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone, but maybe consider getting a part-time job in order to meet people and make friends and just get out of the house. I know quite a few people actually that have a career, like they're fully working 40 hours. And this is why I said it's not for everyone, because if you're working 40 hours, some people just don't have the time, energy, or desire to work more than that for any reason if they don't have to. But if that is something you'd be interested in, I know a handful of people that have a job at a gym and they either teach a class every like week or two, or once a week, once a month, twice a month, whatever, or they work the front desk. And not only does it get them out of the house and get them a free gym membership, it gets them out and interacting with people. And interacting with people is almost, like in my opinion, is almost always going to benefit you from a social perspective, because being social and interacting with other humans is a skill. And obviously some people are just born with it and it just comes easily to them. But to others, you have to work at it. And if you feel awkward talking to people, the best thing that you can do is talk to people, because the more you talk to people, the easier it's going to get. And you have to practice just like any other, just like tennis or any other sport or any other skill, genuinely any other skill. If you are terrified to talk to people and you feel like you're bad at it, go and talk to people. And, you know, I apologize if I have ever talked to you and I was really awkward, but maybe I was just practicing. Or if someone awkward talked to me, maybe they were just practicing. And like, I'm not going to judge someone for being awkward one time, you know? Okay. So that was the end of my list of quick, easy things that you can do to possibly make new friends and spend more quality time with people, forming connections. I do want to touch on one other thing. When it comes to friendships and making friendships, I'm going to bring it back to the first point that I brought up, where making friends is actually quite similar to dating, but I think that it's a little bit deeper. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one because you can have a million friends. You know, there's not a limit on how many friends you can have, but for most people, they only want to date in the long run one person. And then a lot of people want to get married to that one person. So you're picking one person. You're picking one life partner for the most part. Many people are trying to pick one life partner, whereas you can have a million friends. So in a way, it's easier to make friends because the stakes are lower. Not every friendship has to be as deep as the other one. You have more flexibility in who you pick as a friend because it's not like your whole life is going to depend on it many times. Whereas the person that you pick to be your life partner and marry and spend your life with, your life does kind of depend on that. So when you're picking friends, I feel like sometimes people are less picky, and that at first might come off as really kind and inclusive and nice. And I really don't want this to come off the wrong way because obviously giving people a chance at friendship and being friends with someone new is a nice thing to do. Obviously, you're being open-minded, you're giving people a chance, you're having human connection, and that's what life is all about. But at the same time, I just believe that you are not meant to be friends with everyone. Obviously, like we all know that. It's not a secret. You are not going to want to be friends with everyone you've ever met. And everyone you've ever met is not necessarily going to want to be friends with you. And that's fine. Like, it's not insulting if someone doesn't want to be friends with you because it's not insulting if you don't want to be friends with someone else. I'm going to keep this idea to kind people and good people. Kind and good people who are just nice and normal and good people. Because obviously, if someone who is just a straight up bad person tries to be friends with you, it's like, no, I'm not being friends with you. Like, obviously, that's pretty cut and dry. Like, if someone is rude, mean, inconsiderate, bad person, they do bad things, like, yeah, okay, we can all agree we don't want to be friends with that person. It's not that deep. I think it's interesting when you start to think about good people who you just don't really want to be friends with. And it might sound mean, but there are a lot of good people that maybe just aren't really my personality or my vibe, or we have different senses of humor. And I just don't think they're funny. And therefore, they would not think that I'm funny. And they wouldn't vibe with my personality. And we just wouldn't make the best of friends. We're not interested in the same things. We don't want to talk about the same things. We don't want to do the same things. And that's where it gets tricky because it's like, okay, when you're dating someone, you can go on 1, 2, 3, however many dates with them and learn all this information about them and then use that information to decide, I don't really want to continue seeing you because I don't want to form this connection. And that's it. Like, it's not something you did. It's not something that's wrong with you. It's just, I don't see us as forming this deep connection that's going to last a lifetime. So I'm letting you go. I release you. You've done nothing wrong and you're a good person and I wish you the best. I'm just not going to continue this connection. And when you say that to a romantic connection, there's kind of no rebuttal that can be had. And it's just not that deep. You know, you just don't want to marry them. You don't want to be with them for the rest of your life. I almost wish that we could do that with friendships because I think that it would save people a lot of stress, confusion, heartache, sadness, honestly, because when you start to form connections, it's almost like there's no end other than just a slow drift. And obviously, if you were friends with someone and you just started to not like them, obviously you can text them. Like in black and white, yes, you could text someone and be like, hi, I know we've been getting to know each other in group settings and sometimes one-on-one for the past year or two, but I just wanted to let you know that I don't want to be friends with you anymore. You've done nothing wrong. I just don't like you that much. Bye. You could 100% do that. You definitely could. But doesn't that seem kind of mean? Doesn't that seem like you would be being rude or mean to that person? Whereas if you said that to a romantic connection, you've done nothing wrong. I just don't like you that much. Straight up, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Goodbye. And I wish you all the best. Doesn't it seem not as mean when you're doing it to a romantic connection, but then when it's a friendship, platonic connection, it's like, well, don't be mean. Like, that's kind of mean to say. And yes, I totally agree that it comes off mean. And that would be hard to hear. If someone that I liked texted me that and was like, hey, I don't like you that much. I don't really vibe with your personality and I don't think you're funny. I'm not going to talk to you ever again. I would be like, damn, that hurts. Like, why do you not want to be friends with me? Like, you don't even want to be friends. That's painful to hear. But then if you think about it in black and white, it's like, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like, take yourself out of that situation. Like, remove yourself from the fact that you just got that text or the fact that you just sent that text and just think to yourself in black and white, do you want to be friends with everyone you've ever met? No. Obviously the answer is no. What if there were people that were nice and fine, they've never done anything wrong? Do you still want to be friends with every single one of those people you've ever met? No, you just don't want to, nor do you have the time to. And when time becomes this fleeting, valuable resource that cannot be renewed, you don't have time for those people that you feel lukewarm about. You want to spend all of your time on these deeper connections that mean way more to you. And that comes off so mean. That really does at first. And I almost wish it didn't. Like, something that I've noticed is obviously you meet like friends of friends of friends over the years, and some of them come into your life and you vibe immediately. And then some of them come into your life and you're like, yeah, they're my friend's friend, but I don't see myself forming a deeper connection with them. I wouldn't really desire to hang out with them one-on-one. I don't really desire to hang out with them at all. If they're there in a group setting, like, sure. But if they asked me to hang out after this, like, I probably would say no, even though they're a fine person. Like, they're fine. It's just, not my vibe. I would rather spend that time hanging out with a different person or a different friend. But I have found that it's really, really difficult to separate yourself from people that you're just starting to get to know as friends as an adult. If you met someone at a coffee shop or a gym or in a fitness class or sports league, whatever, as an adult, you're both like 27, you don't work together, it doesn't matter. I'm throwing 27 out there as an arbitrary number, but you know what I mean. You don't work together, you're not in school, whatever. There's no like potential end date on this connection. And this person is just like, hey, want to get coffee after this? And you get coffee once and you're like, I thought it was kind of awkward. And then they keep asking, or they're like, well, in addition to coffee, do you want to do this? Do you want to go and play the sport outside of the league? Do you want to do all and you're like, I'm not really feeling the vibe as much. Like, I have just found that it's really uncomfortable to tell that person the truth because it seems really hurtful. And it seems honestly rude to tell someone to their face, like, look, I don't have time for you. I'd rather hang out with my best friend from high school. I'm sorry. I just don't care that much. But like, that's the truth of it. Like, that's the reality. And I don't know, like it's just hard to put it into words in a way that's, not hurtful and mean. And I still don't 100% know how to handle a situation like that other than just like denying them plans every time. But then if they're like, hey, like I saw we went from like hanging out a bunch to like not hanging out at all, like what's up? I'm not gonna lie, I have told someone to their face, like, you're right, that has happened. And I have just found, I forget exactly how I worded it, but basically it was like a friend of a friend and we hung out in groups a bunch of times and we were like getting to know each other. But like, other than that group, I had no desire to hang out with this person like whatsoever, but they were asking and asking a lot and asking more and more and more. And the first few times I was like, yeah, sure, just come anyway, even though our like mutual person, our middleman isn't coming to this event. I'm like, sure, you can still come. And then it's like, again, the middleman isn't coming. And I'm like, okay, like, is it going to be weird? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the vibes. I'm trying to think of like who vibes together and whatnot. And like, even that might seem mean, but like, there are people that I love that you can just like throw into any situation and you don't have to check in on them. You know, they can handle themselves and that's fine. But then there are also people that I love that it's like, oh, their personality probably wouldn't match with that other person's personality. So I'm going to keep those two friends separate. They're both great people, but it's just a vibes thing. You just can't mix everyone in every social situation. And I'm sorry, but that's not a mean thing to say. Like, that's just the truth. So then when this like friend of a friend is asking, well, can I come? But like our middleman isn't going to be there, but like, what if I still come? Or like, you guys still come to my thing, even though the middleman isn't there. And I'm like, I don't want to. I'm sorry. Like, I don't desire that. And I am going to not spend my time feeling bad for someone and inviting someone to plans of mine just because I feel bad and saying, yeah, you can come anyway, just because I feel guilty. But deep down, I do not want them to come. We have to stop doing this. Also, that's mean. Imagine if you were invited somewhere or you asked a certain group or person to hang out and they said yes, and you later found out they didn't actually want you there. They didn't think you were going to fit the vibe, but they felt too guilty and too rude saying no to you. Does that taint your memory of that? And if it happens again, would you still want to go? I think most reasonable people would be like, no, of course not. Of course I don't want someone to invite me somewhere just because they feel guilty. I would rather spend my time going and meeting new people and putting my energy into other connections with people that feel the same way about me, as you should. It goes both ways. That's not fair for either person. And when I'm saying it, when I'm on the side of I don't like you, it sounds mean. But then when you're saying it from the side of, I like this person, but they don't like me, like, oh, not worth my time. Like, they don't deserve me. Like, they don't understand me. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to live my life over here with these people. And everyone be like, yeah, more power to you. But then when you're the one being like, sorry, like when you're on like that side, it's like, oh, but you're rude and like they don't deserve you. And it's like, sure, if the person that I don't like, when I'm like, you know what, honestly, it's not a vibe, go on and thrive with your other friend groups. And those people are like, she doesn't deserve you. Like she, let her go. And it's like, yeah, let me go. And I do hope that you thrive somewhere else. Like, I hope that you do like shoo me away and be like, oh, they don't deserve my energy. Just like I would say that about somebody else that just straight up doesn't like me. I've done nothing wrong. I just am not going to vibe with everyone I've ever met. And I think that's fine. So I kind of wish that when you were becoming friends with someone as an adult, you could almost treat it like dating and hang out with this person a few times and not put this like friend label on it, and almost be more realistic in the sense of like, hey, we've hung out a few times, like you're a friend of a friend, or I met you through work or through anything. And we've hung out a few times and, I'm just not feeling it and I don't want to hang out anymore. I kind of wish that was more normalized, because I think so much pressure is put on platonic connections because that's not normal. Imagine if you just met a friend of a friend or something and they were starting to ask you to hang out more and you were on the fence about the vibes. You're like, yeah, like maybe we could hang out with them. Like it works sometimes. I don't know though. I feel like some people would be like, I don't want to hang out with them because I don't want to lead them on as a friend. And like, I'm on the fence about them. Like, I don't know if I really want to engage in a friendship with them. And therefore I'm just like, not even gonna try. I'm just gonna say no when they ask me to hang out. Like, I'm too scared to test it out. I'm like too nervous to see if we would be good friends, because if we are not, it's going to be too awkward. It's going to be too weird. And it's like, why is it awkward? Like, it's sad. I wish it wasn't as awkward as it is. And it is awkward. Like, I'm not trying to say like, guys, we just have to be real with each other. Like, you just have to tell people straight up to their face, I don't like you. And it's not that deep. And like, let's all start doing it. Like, I know that's not realistic. Like, I know that if a friend of a friend who I just met started like asking me a million questions and hang out all the time and I just didn't like them, I know I would not look them in the eye and be like, I don't like you, so no. But I'll see you at that girl's wedding and I'll see you at every other plan that our middleman creates. Like, I'm not going to say it either, but like, I'm just trying to open the conversation and be like, I kind of wish you could say that to people more, because I think that it would take this like pressure off of this friendship building like time, I guess. And then also, if you are the person on the opposite end of these feelings where you're trying to make this connection happen, but the other person is kind of like avoiding your texts, being weird about the like, I don't know if I can, like they're being iffy, they're like walking on eggshells around you because they don't want to say yes. They don't, honestly, it's because deep down they do not want to say yes to your plans, but they don't want to say no because it's going to come off as rude. It would just alleviate that confusion for everyone involved, even the person on the like, I'll use that dating analogy, like everyone's either a reacher or a, oh my God, what's the other one for reacher? Like basically there's always going to be someone that is chasing you and there's always going to be like the chasee or whatever. So like, let's say you're the chasee and you want this person to stop chasing you, but you don't want to tell them to your face, like, stop chasing me, this just ain't it, because I don't want to be mean. Imagine the confusion and like the weight that would be lifted off of you if you could just snap your fingers and guarantee that this chaser would never talk to you again and they would never ask you to hang out again. I'd be like, thank God. It's over. I don't have to keep dodging text messages. I don't have to keep pretending I like you or pretending that we're friends or inviting you because I feel guilty. And it would clear up the confusion for the chaser and they would stop wasting their time on you. They would stop wasting their time and their energy texting you, trying to make potential plans, like wondering if they should text you. It's just over. It's clear to everyone. And like I said, I know that this is not going to happen overnight. Like I know that this is not necessarily realistic in every situation. But I do think that there is value in being honest with people, and you can be honest with people that are trying to form connections with you that you don't feel you completely vibe with, aka in the simplest terms, you don't have to be friends with everyone, even if they want to be friends with you. And it's okay to be honest about those feelings with them. It's going to save everyone time and energy. And to the point, to bring it home to this person that wrote the original question, which is, why is it so hard to make friends with people as an adult? I think that maybe something that would help you you is just remembering that not everyone is meant to be your friend. And if someone doesn't want to be friends with you, it's okay. There are people out there that do want to be friends with you. Maybe they're just harder to find. Maybe you just haven't found them yet. Obviously, no one is that unique that there is nobody out there for you to be friends with. There are billions of people on this earth. There is someone that is just like you. It's just a matter of finding them. So when someone isn't just like you and you're putting in effort and they're not giving it back to you, you have to just be okay with being like, it's okay. Not everyone is like me. Not everyone matches your personality. Like I'll use sports, for example. Like not everyone plays tennis. So maybe you need to stop asking people on the golf team to play tennis with you. It's not offensive that the golf team doesn't want to play tennis with you. It's fine. There are so many people that would want to play tennis with you. You just have to find them. And maybe they're not on the golf team or the baseball team. And if someone on the golf team or the baseball team says, hey, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to play tennis with you. It's not insulting. You've done nothing wrong. You just have to keep asking people if they want to play tennis. And eventually you're going to find someone that does. And it's going to take a lot of quality time probably to get to the point where you guys are playing tennis every single day and you're back and forth and you're vibing together. And that's a terrible analogy, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I think I've talked in circles about a million times. I could probably circumnavigate the globe with the amount of times I've talked in circles on this episode, but I hope that it has somehow helped someone, or maybe it was just interesting to listen to, or maybe it was a piece of interesting lore about me. Oh, I don't even know if I finished my thought about the person that it was like, honestly, I'll just air it out, whatever. It was a friend of a friend. We started hanging out in group settings. I would invite them when the middleman was there. And there was a couple times where everyone was invited, but then the middleman ended up not coming. And I was like, okay, dang. If I knew the middleman wasn't coming, I would not have invited the friend of a friend because I'm not close enough with them like that, nor do I care to be close enough with them like that. And then it just happened to like spiral and spiral and spiral. And like, just like a romantic relationship, I got to know them, gave them a chance, got to know them. And then a year later, I was like, I just don't like them that much. And if I broke up with someone in a romantic relationship, everyone would applaud me. But now that this is a platonic relationship and I'm just saying, I just don't want to be friends with them, it's coming off as mean and rude. And I feel bad about that. But eventually, it did come to a conversation and I straight up was like, yeah, I honestly I'm not really feeling the vibe and I don't really desire to hang out as much as maybe I once did or whatever. I said it in a very kind way. I said it in a nice way, but I still gave clarity about how I was feeling, I think. And you know what? Huge weight lifted off my shoulders. So I think if you respect someone enough to tell them the truth, you should do it. And it's not necessarily mean. And even if they take it in a bad way, like even if it's hurtful to them, I think in the long run, they will understand. And like when people look back on their lives, they're like, yeah, do I want to be friends with someone that is inviting me because they feel guilty? No, probably not. I would think most of us would say no to that question. So let's start acting on it and being the person that stops inviting people just because you feel guilty. I'm leaving it at that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I had fun circumnavigating the globe and this topic. So thank you so much for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.